Welcome back to part 5. In this video we'll continue where we left off last video, which was the aiming state. After we finished aiming state and its animations, now we're gonna have to worry about actually shooting the arrow. Now after aiming state we're gonna have to create a new state, which is shooting. Now duplicate this one and just simply call it player shooting state. For player shooting state, simple. We're gonna change the state from aiming to state dot shooting. Of course, we keep these like they are, no change in these things. For the time being, we're just gonna keep it. We don't need the tick. Take this off. Can perform. The requirement is in combat as well as you being in aiming state. So we have to get the state manager. Get current active state. From the state, we're gonna check if the active state is equivalent to aiming state. If this is active, as well as we are in combat, you might not need this one, but just for consistency, we're gonna add this, and that's the condition for it. After the condition, we adjusted the state gameplay tag. Here we're gonna allow the things we're gonna allow, which is movement in all forms. The ability, it's gonna be an ability on its own. So for now, go back here, blueprint class, only for TCF users, by the way. BP, base ability, base player ability, my bad. BP player shooting, player shooting ability. I'm gonna name this ability dot attack dot shooting. We're gonna copy a similar ability. If you go to any ability we had for the player, let's take for example light attack. We're just gonna copy end and start hooking these up and playing this animation, and that's it. I'm gonna explain everything we just copied. Now here in the ability, in the exact goes the parent. You could also delete this, there's no need for it. Start ability here and setting the values for the montages directly from the data asset. In our scenario, we're using which weapon? Bow and arrow weapon. Here we're using this data asset, and we can add the shooting here like we did with sorry, my bad. We can add the shooting here like we did in the equip. So a new ability is being added, and this ability is going to be shooting ability like we created. Player shooting ability. The montage, I'm gonna create it just now, but before that we added a new state, which is shooting state. Now one more thing we forgot is aiming state will allow the attack input, which we can't see due to the bug. Let me close this for now. Back to aiming. Where is aiming? Okay, we don't need you anymore. Shooting state, here's aiming. Open this up and that's attack, here we go. So attacking will be allowed, but it will have its own conditions. Now, since we're done with this, let me just close them pretty quick. Arrow shot. You don't need this anymore. You don't need this anymore. Now we're gonna choose the montage that we're gonna depend on for shooting. If we look on bow, shoot. Arrow shoot, no. Not the rain. Not the idol. Arrow shoot, there we go. This one. Bow, shoot, start. But not the root one, I need the one in place. So bow, shoot, start. place. But this one starts from idle. We don't want to start from idle. So bow shoot in place. There we go. We need this one. Because here we're starting from the aiming directly, and then here he equips the weapon and shoots it at the same time. So here we're gonna take this one, create a montage, and that's the montage we want. At the end of the montage, like any other montage, we just end it. End green active ability. For the blend in, since we're already in aiming, just make this 0 or 0.05, like a very small number. And then we take this and we hook it up here. Now, we can't even try this simply because the controller only knows shooting, doesn't know, sorry, it only knows attacking, but it doesn't know shooting. So the controller, if you go back to it, on the attack button, which is left mouse button, aside from equip, we have attack. If attack doesn't work, we're gonna do something else. Now, double make sure that attack does not exist in Playable, because attacking here might overshadow the other one. So remove attacking, and we have shooting, just use shooting. Copy this, paste, and call the shooting one. And now we can try, just for simplicity's sake, we're gonna add a breakpoint, just to double make sure that it's working. Ignore these, you don't need to worry about them, except for player shooting. Yeah, we didn't hook the animations up, so create this one. Random array. It's just one animation, so anything it picks is just gonna be one anyways. And let's try. Play, skip these. And definitely it fired, but I didn't see it simply because of the controller breakpoint. Let me try again without the breakpoint this time. And it didn't fire. Now let's find out why. Let's see if this animation even fired. Oops, I made a small mistake. Can play again. Oh, the breakpoint also got reset. Oh, this one didn't even reach. Let me add, I can confirm in here, and let's see the value. Oh, we didn't hook it up on the state, my bad. That's another thing for you guys. If you have a new state, make sure it's firing the one you want it to fire. So in our case was shooting, right? Player shooting ability. And now let's try. And the animation was clicked. Let me remove this. And you saw the animation right there. Now it's stuck because we didn't return back to idle at the end of the shooting ability. Let's double make sure this is being run. Aiming, shoot. This one was called, and now we should return back here. Player shooting state. Let's see if this was ending. And it didn't. That means we're gonna have to add the end current active state. So here we need to get the state manager, and from here in the state get current active state and then end it. Aim, shoot, and you saw in the state running now. Now what happens when the state is running? We go back to idle. Now for the animation we picked, you can notice here we're going back to aiming. Instead it took us down to idle, which in our case shouldn't be. So rather than going back to idle, just go back to aiming. And definitely don't go back to melee unless it's unclicked. So take this off, and let's try. Aiming, shoot. You can see there's a blend out happening, and the blend out is the issue why it's snapped like this. So blend out, make it just like the blend in, extremely small number or point down to 0. And now let's try again. Aiming, shoot, back to aiming. Now, same issue. Let me add a small blend out, 0.05 or 0.1, something like this. Shooting and back to aiming. And you can see it works extremely fine. Walking and shooting doesn't work simply because the animation was full body. Let's fix the full body down to upper body. Now let's try again. Moving, shooting, and you can do it. Now, one thing to keep in mind is we just changed the down body to some different animation simply because we were not in shooting anymore. So here in aiming, rather than just aiming, let's do aiming and shooting. So both. This time, at least it won't go back to walk idle in that sense. So let's do this. Aiming and shooting. So for either of these, this path will run. Let's try again. Walk, aim, shoot, and you can see we are on the right one. Now you saw this bug. You can aim backward while you're shooting. So to fix all this, go back to the state we have here. Sorry, don't go to shooting state. Just make sure this is taken off, and then go back to the aiming state and add this node right here. Get the owner character and make sure the use controller rotation yaw is set to true. And at the end of it, we do the same thing. Reset it back. So here, reset this back, we hook it up with the owner character. And now let's try. If we aim, move backward, now like this, you can see it's snapped, and also the zoom in is also has a problem. So to make the zoom work, simply don't go back to melee for now. Just take this off, and let's double make sure that the other stuff are working. You see, I can aim and shoot exactly how I want. Now the reason the mode was resetting was because when I'm changing from aiming to shooting, this node is being the end state is being called. So in that case, we can't do these values here. So instead, what we need to do, you can use those as well in the shooting, or can you just keep it exactly like it is? But when you go back to idle, you're gonna have to set these values back. So get these, and if you go back to the idle state here, of course double make sure you're not using the plugins, but if you just want to add that, you can just add it here on the start. I'm not gonna do that for the sake of the tutorial, but you can see now that with aiming being finished and shooting being working, the last thing we need to do is actually shooting the arrow and potentially causing damage if anything. So for this video we're done. In the next one I'm gonna show you how to shoot the arrow and the math behind it. So see you in the next one.